Abba, thank you very much for joining us. I'm actually unsure where to start, but perhaps you could start by letting our audience get the legal framework governing Hisbah operations in Nigeria, particularly in the north.
And that was quite a distressing story, and reportage. Hisbah Corps, or the Hisbah police, as some people call them, actually has been established under various northern Nigerian state laws. For example, in Kano State, in Katsina State, in Zamfara State, which was even the first state to have enacted Islamic Sharia laws and also constitute the Hisbah Corps. Have been created constitutionally, even though there are a lot of debates. Some constitutional lawyers believe Hisbah is unconstitutional, others believe it is constitutional, although this has been settled by the courts, as it has been upheld that really states portions to the relevant, for example, the legislative powers of the state's houses of assembly have the power to actually create the Hisbah as an institution. And also under section 4 sub 7 of the Constitution has also empowered the various states, to legislate on laws that are for good, for peace and good governance. Also, around section 38 of the Constitution of Nigeria has given Nigerians the right to profess their religion and also live by a certain code of religious codes. So these were the reliance of the courts, for example, in upholding the fact that states have the right to legislate on Sharia law and also empanel institutions like the Hisbah. However, truly in a lot of states, Hisbah has derailed from their mandate, and in a lot of times they have overstepped their boundaries. Not only in Katsina State, in various states. As a practicing lawyer, I have found myself, in cases where Hisbah has transgressed, into sometimes even taking people's lives. For example, in Kano, there was a case in which Hisbah Corps mercilessly beat a certain fellow, and that led to his death. The case was taken to court and all of that. In a lot of times, you would see them, enforcing laws. I mean, taking laws into their hands. For example, if they see people indecently dressed or keeping some hair, or maybe having some haircuts that is perceived as indecent, they will be the ones in a lot of times to be the prosecutors, to be the judges, and to be the executors, because they will arrest you, and on the streets they will barb your hair, and this is very, very much unconstitutional, because even in the conventional system, and of course in Sharia law, I am positioned to speak about Sharia law because I have a university degree also in Sharia. So both in Sharia and Nigeria's constitution, that is the conventional system, there is nowhere that a Hisbah Corps is to arrest you, to pass a judgment on you, and to be the person to execute that judgment. They have been severally found wanting in these areas. Even though in a lot of times they have been found to play vital roles in settling disputes, and doing a lot of things that can be really laudable or lauded, but really it is true that I'm not surprised of what I have seen in Sokoto from the reportage here. They have that tendency and they have been doing this. And I want to say that that is not a representation of the Sharia law, because there is nowhere in Sharia in which this is allowed. And also it is not a representation, of any legal system whatsoever in there.
I will come back to you. I have a lot of questions for you, but let's bring in the victim's mother now, Hauwa Mohammed. Thank you for giving us your time. I'm quite sorry for what your daughter went through, but the lawyer has established for us that Hisbah ordinarily shouldn't be arresting or meting out punishment as such. Could you talk to us about the response since this story came out, perhaps from Hisbah authority or the government that you've had?
Excuse me, I didn't get your question.
Okay, has there been a response to the experience that your daughter suffered at the hands of Hisbah, either from Hisbah or the government?
It is quite traumatic and disheartening. To think that Katsina is basically an Islamic state and the Hisbah is supposed to be a body that is to represent Islam doing this kind of barbaric act. Besides, my daughter was not arrested. She was not arrested doing anything. She just heard rumors that one of her brothers and her cousin were arrested, so she went to confirm and then she was brutalized. It is disheartening and traumatic. I have never, ever seen anything like that in my life.
Quite unfortunate, but I mean, since this event occurred, has there been a response from the Hisbah authority or government to the ordeal that your daughter was put through?
Well, initially it was the response of the Hisbah was a defamation of character by the GAC, that is Muhammad Shitu, who is apparently the second in command to the Hisbah commander. The video or the interview he had with, I think, DCL was basically a defamation of character for my daughter and myself. And after that, the commander came out, he said the same thing, and it's very, very unfortunate, honestly speaking. Very unfortunate. Their response to what has happened to my daughter and her cousins, because there are two female cousins that were also assaulted, has just happened to be the worst.
Okay.
So I'm talking about 3 daughters.
Can you talk to us about the specific injuries or traumas that your daughter experienced during the assault and how this incident has impacted or affected your family?
Well, she has a fractured foot, which is in cast, and her left temporal membrane, that is the lining between the outer ear and the inner ear, has been ruptured. It is in the healing process. And naturally, it is traumatic for a girl to be assaulted, brutalized that way. A girl that is innocent. She has not done anything to deserve that. It is traumatic for us. We are still trying to cope with the trauma.
Let's come back to you, Abba, and just find out, is it permissible in Islam to beat a woman to enforce morality as is being claimed? And what are the options available for Hauwa Mohammed's family to seek redress?
This is a very beautiful question, and it is important for Nigerians to listen, and also I think for Hisbah call of the various tests to also listen, because there appears to be a misunderstanding between what is criminal or what is a crime and what is immoral. Yes, if you look at the laws establishing Hisbah in the various states, because these laws are almost the same across the states, you would see that the Hisbah has the duty and is enjoined, to encourage doing that which is good. And it also encourage or has the mandate, to discourage immorality and that which is generally bad. But there is a difference between an immoral act and a crime. While Hisbah has the mandate, for example, to arrest people for committing crimes and to help the conventional law enforcement agents in curtailing crimes, they do not have the power to enforce immoral acts, a supposed immoral act which does not amount to crime. But this is what they have been doing. For example, there is no law anywhere in Nigeria, whether in Islamic law or in the conventional legal system that we have, that criminalizes, for example, keeping a certain hairstyle. But you would see Hisbah, for example, enforcing that. Also, a certain dress may be provocative, but a lot of dresses that Hisbah is arresting people for is not actually revealing or provocative. It is perhaps considered by them to be indecent.
The important thing for us tonight, that there is no law, even in religion, that allows anyone to beat a woman. However, let me come back to you. What kind of support system have been put in place for your daughter and family since the incident, and are you looking to seek justice?
Is that question for me?
Yes, actually. I'm asking what kind of support system there is for your daughter and if your family will be looking to take the legal route.
Well, fortunately for her, we have a strong family structure. So she has a strong family support. Every member of my immediate and extended family is rooting for us. And we intend to seek redress from the courts. We want justice for her.
We hope you get that. Thank you so much for giving us your time and sharing this unfortunate experience with us. Abba Hikima, thank you as well for always bringing insight to the conversation.